So today I'm going to be looking at kind of the out-of-box experience of Ubuntu and Linux in general, and I'm going to play with 17.10 a little bit too. So I have a USB stick here, I have Ubuntu 17.10 on it. This came out when I made this video like 2 days ago. Big changes, GNOME 3 came out. I've been looking on the internet a little bit, just for fun. Of course there's complaints and stuff, everyone. Some people say it works fine, some people say there's lots of issues with GNOME causing slowdowns. I've used GNOME a good amount. Normally I have halfway reasonable GPUs. I've used it quite a bit on a system like HD 3000 graphics. It's fine. I'm going to see just kind of how well stuff works out of the box. And we also got a bit slower of a system to see how it does well with older hardware. We got, I think, an 8800 GT here. We got an E8400, 3 gigs of RAM, and a little bit out of frame, we got a 2 terabyte spinner hard drive here. So, it works fine. Handle running it well, but let's see how it does. So we're going to turn them on, and you can notice that fan has horrible bearings right now, but it works. And we're going to enter the boot menu and select the drive. This GPU is a bit interesting. Seems to have a beta BIOS on it, or an internal BIOS from NVIDIA. Don't know. I got it from someone who didn't need it anymore, so that's cool. Hard drive and a generic flash drive. So this system has BIOS only boot. It's a bit older. It's a Core 2 Duo system. So it doesn't have any UEFI boot options like the new ones do. So here we are in the Ubuntu setup. Looks a little bit different. We can see we have a clear top bar. It's all clear now. We got less of that. Let's fire up the installer. Not too much different. We got a kind of face looking desktop picture now, I guess. Looks like the exact same installer. They really haven't changed. Just download updates, third-party software. In my opinion, it's one of the nice things that Ubuntu has, a third-party software. You can argue it's not as free and stuff, but man, I like working Wi-Fi a lot more than I like free software right now. We got a question mark help. We got the Amazon. We got the Ubuntu software, which is GNOME software since I think 1604. This is just GNOME software here. It used to be their own program. And this is basically a GUI for apt, but, it's just GUI now. They still have Amazon on here, surprisingly, which I don't like. But installer's taking a while for thinking, but installers do that, I guess. Oh yeah, this is interesting. Seems like this bar, if you put something next to it, changes to like being dark gray, where if you move away, it's like that. And the top bar does it too, so that's kind of interesting. You just have a link to Amazon and Firefox. Wonder how much they're getting paid to put that in. Thank you, Ubuntu. What else? If you used to like the dash, it's gone. Activities. This is standard GNOME if you're used to GNOME. This here is a shortcut to what normally, in normal GNOME, you don't have this, and when you press the activities, you get like a little menu here, which they replaced with this, which I don't mind too much, actually. It's not horrible. And the show applications can also be accessed by Super A unless they changed it. Oh, are they including NVIDIA stuff by default? Huh. I'll have to look at that in a little bit. I'm gonna, once I get this installed, I'm gonna play with Steam and see if I can get that to work completely out of the box now. I'm going to poke around the terminal, which I don't like doing. Well, I'm not wanting to right now. We also got Rhythmbox, which is fine, files, not much else. Normally with Ubuntu, you get some extra software installed that looks like in a live disk than you normally get when you're actually done. So let's see what we actually get when we're done and see what we can do. Like Gparted. Gparted doesn't come installed on the installs, but it does come with the live disks. Oh yeah, next step in the install. So you got a few options, erase, and then you have something else. You can encrypt it or use LVM. We're just going to erase it. I think it has Windows on it right now, but I really don't know. And it's going to tell you to do it. The one big change with this version is they're still using ext4, which makes sense. BTRFS still has its issues, and ext4 is debatably faster. And they're putting the swap file now in a file instead of a partition, which has its advantages and disadvantages. So, standard keyboard layout. The one thing I like about Ubuntu is you can do this when it's actually installing in the background. So I'm going to call it Ubuntu test. You do have to actually have a password in here. Unlike Windows, where you don't have to have a password at all. Log in automatically. This does actually use encryption on your home folder, which is actually kind of cool that they do that. So continue. Gparted comes installed. It's cool. It works fine. It has Windows installed. You can tell, NTFS, it was a trash install. I don't need it anymore. I'm surprised though it doesn't give me an option to install it along with it. This little warning icon is telling me that Windows is doing its fast shutdown thing where you can't mount it, so that might be why. The one way to get past that is to reboot it and shut it down when it's in the middle of the BIOS. But it's a bit annoying if I can't dual boot. I might try that in a little bit though. So it's finished the install now. I'm going to put the timer on screen of how long it took. Seemed like about 15 minutes, so not too bad, especially for a hard drive. If you had a faster USB drive, a network, and an SSD, it'd be a lot quicker. So that's boot time. Boots fairly quickly, I guess, for a hard drive. Not too bad. Opening Firefox, yeah, this is going to take a while on a hard drive, especially since it hasn't cached anything. Not too bad, though. I think it's connected to the network. It shows a question mark here, which I don't know why. Let's try it. I don't know, just going on YouTube. See if it works. I have some headphones plugged in so I can see if audio works. So here's the top video on trending. Yeah, it's probably going to play an ad. Oh, it doesn't play an ad. So it's playing Veronica Stats for Nerds. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be dropping any frames. No dropped frames yet, so not too bad. Let's go full screen. Let's make it a bit harder. And I'm going to put my headphones on just to see if I get any audio. Yep, audio's working fine, so everything's working pretty much out of the box. You know, let's be a little harder on it. It's HD now. Okay, it's dropping frames of HD. Full screen. Nah, not really. Only seem to do it a little bit. But oh yeah, it's dropping frames. It's definitely dropping frames. What resolution? What 1080p? It can't handle 1080. If I go to 720, it'll probably do it just fine now. Yeah, it's still struggling a bit with HD. Probably due to the fact that it's using VP9, which is on this system only CPU encoded, and this is not a very fast CPU. If I go to, for example, I should be using my own video for this, but who cares? If I go to 480p, then I won't have any issues. Updates. Why are you going to bug me about it? I just installed this, and this is a good USB. And 480p is just fine, with no drops. And that's purely because of CPU. So there's that. What else is kind of nice? So what else would you want to do? I mean, like, I'm assuming most web stuff, it's Firefox, it's full Firefox, so work fine. The only thing you won't be able to do is stuff like Netflix because of DRM and some other things. You have to use Chrome, which is pretty easy to install. Now let's go play around with something else. I don't know, it's a bit more difficult. Oh, Steam. Let's see if Steam wants to run out of the box. I'm going to try not to use any terminal in here. Just see. Normal user perspective. Software installer. Okay. Wow, that was actually pretty quick. Install. I need a password. Password's in. And it's installing. Progress bar doesn't seem to know what 64% is. And starts there though. Files. Looks fine. Settings isn't here by default for whatever reason, which is kind of annoying. You have to search for it. Okay, let's look at the included software. So, Solitaire. Okay, why is there Amazon links? Calculator, basic calculator. I think it's a GNOME, is all GNOME programs. Calendar, the things, input messages. It comes with LibreOffice. I think this is Go, the game. I don't know that game very well. Mines, which is just Minesweeper. Power statistics, it shows you how many wake-ups the CPU has. There's remote desktop client software. Rhythmbox, it's basically iTunes competitor settings, which I wanted to open. Shotwell, which is a photo manager, basic scanner, software and update manager. Another update manager? Okay. Oh, I think this one does settings, and this one, why can't you put it in one? Startup applications. Startup disk creator, okay, Steam, which I just installed, Stoku, terminal, that, and then utilities, and I get backups. I got a few other things. Yeah, I might play with backups a bit. Screenshot, okay, seems fine. There's nothing out there that's not included. Weird that's included. So Steam installer. Let's say I hit start Steam. I agree. Yes, I've read them. So it says there's updated software, which is interesting because I just updated it. I wonder what packages is. Oh, okay. There's libcurl and a few international things. I told it to install updates when installing, which is interesting why I did it. So Steam's going to want me to install more packages and asks for my password in the terminal, which is great, I guess. I wish they'd make it a bit easier to install, but okay, that's fine. And I guess I have to hit enter here. I wish they'd just script this all, but no. Let's say I go to additional drivers. I'm guessing it's going to tell me about NVIDIA drivers, so this is a very old card now. So I don't know if it will. So the Wi-Fi settings menu, I think this is new GNOME settings stuff. They've definitely changed it around quite a bit. And you can see all the new devices and all my printers on the network in the background and the dock. I can make it smaller, can make it really big. I guess those programs update notifier. I can auto hide it if I want. Oh, and it moves the icons. Okay, position on screen. Oh, I can do it bottom. Kind of looks like Windows. Kind of looks like a Mac. Okay, next thing. So microcode. It uses microcode by default. Otherwise, it's using the I don't know how to pronounce it. Novado driver. Otherwise, you can use 340 as the driver from it, which should work. I'm gonna try that in a little bit. But for now, we're gonna see how well the open source one does. Press enter to continue. Gonna start Steam now. I'm gonna be curious if this just works all out of the box. The other thing I've heard a lot of complaints with in Ubuntu is just general lagginess in 17.10. And that's pretty much due to GNOME. I'm not dropping frames right now. This is pretty nice. If I'm dragging Windows, looks pretty good. This is a pretty low-end GPU. Like, this is worse than pretty much any modern you could buy in any modern system. It's pretty good. I mean, like, okay, so I guess what else could I do? I use on like Slither.io, which should be a little graphics test, I guess. Let's throw up a little web game. Let's say that. Okay, this is playing pretty badly here. Probably CPU limited, but it's playing pretty darn badly on here. It's not a great system though, but I didn't expect it to run well. And I'm dead. Oh, I killed him. So, the general just moving. So if I hit start Steam again, should it launch it? I don't know. So it looks like Steam just doesn't want to open. So I'm going to try just rebooting it and hope it fixes it. I've had issues with this in the past, and you basically have to go like clean out all your packages and stuff in apt, which is annoying. And it's kind of annoying I didn't think of doing that by default, but it seems to work. And it's due to some OpenGL libraries normally. So I've rebooted. Let's hope Steam just starts right up this time. Nothing. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, so rebooting didn't help the Steam, so let's try one more thing now. We're going to try installing the proprietary drivers now. So if we go under software and updates and let it sit for a minute and go into additional drivers, we can install the NVIDIA 340 drivers, which are remotely recent and should be actually supported by Steam, unlike the open source NVIDIA ones. I think there's a way to do it. I've done it before, and it's a messy package word because it's looking for certain libgl stuff, and blah, I don't want to go digging through it. So we go click here. Once it decides it wants to apply changes, it's going to ask you for the password probably. There it goes. Password's entered. And it's gonna take a few minutes to download and install them. Okay, so Ubuntu being Ubuntu doesn't tell you you have to reboot for the drivers to take place, so we're gonna do that. Yeah, there's been a few things that have already annoyed me. GNOME GUI has its quirks that you kind of have to deal with now instead of Unity. Unity was technically running quite a bit of stuff on GNOME, but now you realize it's actually running on GNOME. And things like Steam's always been annoying. I think the big factor is A, closed source is annoying on Linux in general, and B, it's 32-bit only. And Linux and Ubuntu is moving quite quickly away from 32-bit software. So there's like not a lot of 32-bit libraries because you're not supposed to be using them. So it actually changed my login stuff, so now I have to type my password into login because I installed graphics drivers, which is interesting. And the other option, if I cancel, click on Ubuntu, there's no gear here, which normally lets you pick the environment, and I think the NVIDIA drivers can't be run on Wayland, which is the default now, because that's GNOME's default now, because mainly a Fedora push to get rid of Xorg by default. We get the NVIDIA X Server control panel, which gives you the display driver configuration stuff, and X screens. This is all low-end Xorg stuff. You can change a few OpenGL settings and anti-alias settings, and reveal the thermals that this card is getting really hot right now and is spinning quickly. And can change some like power management settings. Really nothing exciting. So if I open Steam, and hopefully, there goes Steam. So I need to install the graphics drivers, which doesn't tell you about. I should be a little bit more buggy about NVIDIA graphics drivers than it is, but it's not. Yeah, so there's that. And this looks like it came out of the 90s and probably did. So let's have a little bit of fun testing some games. So here's TF2, creating local game files. One thing, I do have quite a few Steam games, of which 78 of them, of which 55 run on Linux. Out of 78, not too bad. There's definitely some games I like that are... Normally Linux works pretty darn well. Performance is generally worse, normally 20 to 30%, looking at benchmarks and stuff. Not too bad. I have fast networking. This is almost certainly CPU limited though, right now. But this isn't bad. So let's try an easier game first when TF2's downloading in the background. So I got some programs running, just seeing. This is Binding of Isaac Rebirth, if you've ever played it. Runs pretty well on pretty wimpy hardware. You see 60 FPS, no problem. It is a 2D top-down, but you know, for the age of this hardware, this is fine. TF2 is also downloading in the background. We got Firefox running, and we got 3 gigs of RAM. Surprisingly fine right about now. Close the program. We can open some tabs if you want. See how fast stuff opens. CNN.com. Let's open a large website. CNN's pretty big these days. It's taking a considerable amount of time. If I go like in Gadget. Gadget's a pretty big website. I think it's around 3 megs for the homepage, which is quite large. You can see, yeah, this is taking a significant amount of time to load. Versus something that's probably a bit lighter, like maybe is Reddit lighter these days? I don't know how heavy Reddit is these days. Yeah, even it's taking a while. Even if I go to like an all text only subreddit, I wonder how long it'll take. It's probably CPU limited because I'm downloading stuff in the background. So if I stop that and stop multitasking as much, maybe I go to something that's probably pretty... not a lot of text. What's a subreddit? It's not much text. There's still a lot of stuff. Okay, this isn't great. It's still definitely waiting. It is definitely usable, but it's not great. Like, my phone is about this fast. So, But, you know, the one thing is this is an older desktop. You can use it, but it's not great. So, there we go. Gadget, scrolling. Wow, that's dropping a lot of frames. Scrolling. Then again, these big websites are pretty annoying, because I feel like Snapchat story. Ooh. Yeah, it's taking some time to load. You can see there's more stuff trying to load here. There's a ton of ads that all want to take up screen space and CPU. And this isn't running in the background either, so that's kind of annoying. So this older hardware isn't great. Ubuntu's handling it fine though. It's probably about similar to what Windows would be doing realistically. In the bugginess, I guess, of an OS is what I'm gonna call it, is how much the OS wants to nag you about doing things. I got an update nag once. Other than that, it's pretty much fine. Some other notes I've had about Ubuntu, sometimes it just likes to remind you that a problem has occurred. Doesn't really tell you what it is, doesn't seem to cause issues, just tells you that there's been a problem. So there's that. Other things to note. There's no easy way to sleep it. Like, none of these settings let you sleep. There are third-party tweaks that lets you add it. So if I go to their software store, I can add like a third-party sleep tweak. Which, yeah, is actually loading pretty fast. Should be here. Puts the system on suspend. Why does this do it? Does this do what I think it's gonna do? Yeah, I think now you can actually use all the full GNOME extensions, and it should do what it does. Does this do what I think it does? It's not installed yet though. Hey. Where'd you go? Sleepy. Oh, shell extension gets their own little thing. Where's Sleepy go? Oh, it's right here. That's kind of annoying. I want one that adds it here, and you have to hunt for it. You have to go like add-ons, shell extensions. It's recommended to disable them. Yeah, okay, if you have issues. Okay, that makes sense. Ubuntu dock. This isn't working right, because like, these say they're off, but they aren't, so that's annoying. And also, you aren't updating very quickly. That's one program. I'm gonna have a few complaints here that most of this stuff comes installed, and that's the closed source software fonts. That's cool. Most of it comes installed though. Hardware drivers, BigNet, which is the OpenCL driver for the Intel iGPUs, which is cool, except for the fact that it doesn't work on this hardware, which they don't notify you of. They'll probably let you install it. I'm not gonna try it though. It shouldn't break anything though, but don't know. Nothing shows up for shell extensions, which is great. It works fine in GNOME on my other Fedora system, so that's lovely. Shell extensions is its own thing with no icon. Doesn't show up in applications, but might show up if I search for it. Okay, and then I can search for the shell extensions. There's some weird things here that I'm not normally used to in GNOME. I'm used to GNOME being a little bit better than this. Basically, if you want it to actually play with GNOME 3, you have to install the tweak tool. GNOME tweaks, there you go. Search actually works surprisingly well. Like, I like search here. I can just search for programs on, like, the App Store, and it actually finds them, which Windows doesn't do. And if I search for local programs, like disks, it's pretty darn good about it. Installation time, yeah, okay. Why is this hidden? I don't know. Oh, this is probably a part of the settings app, but it's open separately. Okay. Basically, if you want to play with any low-end things, you install the tweak tool. And the tweak tool lets you do things like a global dark theme. If you know how to install additional themes, you can do that. Extensions. It actually lets you turn on extensions and stuff like that. And yeah, just lets you do a few more fun things in here. Like Windows, it lets you add... Okay, so how does it do minimize? GNOME doesn't do minimize. So you can't do the hover. Okay, it does minimize. GNOME is horrible at minimize. It's off by default, but if you want to, there's ways to get to it. It's just going to show it here. And not show it. So I guess it's better. It lets you minimize it here. So yeah. You can do like, kind of hover, select, and a few more settings, stuff like that. Oh, one thing. Global dark theme. Let's see how this works. You have to turn it on. You have to restart programs to use it. So if I go to Files now. There we go. Open. It's not working. That's annoying. So apparently this doesn't work with the theme they have installed. I do have some other themes that I like, but I'm not going to go into that now. I just want to see how TF2 works. So now I have TF2 installed. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to launch it. I haven't launched it before on here. I'm hoping I can run it at 1080p, like low. Hoping. Is an 8800 GT, it should be able to do that. I haven't looked up numbers for benchmarks though, so we'll find out. So probably as you saw, it took quite a while to open this, and it's getting a horrible frame rate. And apparently the 8800 GT actually played pretty well TF2 back in its day when it was new, but now they've updated a ton of stuff and there's now a ton more textures. As you can see, it's really struggling now. It's probably defaulted to max settings, because I think that's what my profile's set to. But if I go turn these all down, I don't know how Valve does recommended settings. I really don't. They seem to have pretty much no idea how to do it. Because their recommended is like reflect all, which is the highest setting on a 8800 GT. And how much AA do they recommend? None. Okay, that's reasonable. No motion blur, let's turn this all down. So I finally got it running 8800 GT, and we're getting 30 FPS, 720p low, which is quite bad. Anything else, and it's pretty much unplayable, and TF2 looks pretty nasty on low. Like, if you look at these textures, like, these are not great looking textures. A pretty low res. I mean, like, it's not horrible, it's definitely playable, but I would not want to play this. And this is slow. For whatever reason, TF2 on Linux is just horribly slow. It seems like opening it. I don't know why. It seems to be true with a few systems I've messed with, though. Other than that, it's a pretty reasonable system. So, I don't know. Overall, give Linux pretty good hope running. And web browsing works fine, if not a bit slow. Most of this is due to the slower hardware, though. The actual hardware and bugs I've had, I mean, like, UI usability is fairly good. There's not too many bugs, though, I've noticed. A lot of people are saying this horrible slowdown, and I'm not really feeling that on pretty low-end hardware. Yeah, games and websites don't load super fast, but that's kind of expected for the class of hardware you get. I think a lot of the issue is probably due to the upgrade path. I haven't messed with it. It might be fun to go do a ton of upgrades and just see how much junk ends up. Because there's pretty much nothing on this install. So, there's that. But overall, not bad. Yeah, you want an SSD too. Ubuntu, I think, is still a bit zippier on a hard drive than Windows is. Or at least Windows 7 was nasty on a hard drive, especially loaded up. Linux seems to keep going on hard drives a bit better. But, meh. Thanks for watching this little look at Ubuntu 17.10 and just